Hello, I'm Brandon Martini, a commercial pilot and flight instructor.
And I'm Carson Vasquez. I'm a private pilot.
And you're listening to the Aviation Mentors podcast sponsored by Stratus Financial.
So buckle up because the Aviation Mentors are taking off.
Welcome back, everybody, to Aviation Mentors. Today is our 50th episode. What a journey it's been so far, and I'm happy we're still creating and helping mentor the next generation of pilots. It's been a fun, I think, almost 6 months. We've been pretty consistent, except for last week because we're at the Vasana conference. We've had 2 episodes out every week, and it's been challenging at times to get all of them done. But how much fun it's been, right, Carson?
Aviation Mentors has been super awesome. We started talking about it last, I think, June 22, and then we started thinking about it and really getting into it at Oshkosh. I remember Brandon and I were sitting in the RV, and we were just hammering out ideas, what we want to talk about. I think we tried our first episode maybe 10 times to figure out what it's going to sound like when we talk. And now having such a good flow and just being able to just go at it and start talking about aviation like we always love, it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember just sitting inside the motorhome, and we're literally playing with the mics and just trying to figure out what sounds good and what software to use. And we had no idea what we're doing. Now I think we have a pretty good cadence about it. And it's pretty cool. So yeah, it's been fun. But on to the kind of meat and potatoes of today's episode. So today we have an extremely special guest. It's one of my best friends and business partners, Anthony Geraci. He also is the CEO of the company who sponsors our podcast, Stratus Financial. So thanks for being here with us, Anthony.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you.
Yeah, it's awesome having you on, Anthony. Thanks for joining us. And I hear you're a pretty decent pilot. So how'd you get into flying, and what gave you that aviation bug that we all have?
That's a great question. And, it's funny that I think what separates me is I was not the 4 or 5-year-old kid that would look in the sky and say, gosh, I want to be a pilot. It's a recent bug for me. I only wanted to start flying now, I guess it's been 4 years ago. So I would have been 38 at the time. And that's what got me started. And it was a trip to Catalina, funny enough.
I happened to be in that airplane, and I remember that trip.
Yeah, it was crazy and a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah. So how long so you said you've been flying for just a few years now. What really sparked it for you? I mean, we were doing the trip to Catalina. What made you say, hey, this is for me? Because I remember I took you up in a Baron years, maybe a year or two before that, and it didn't even spark anything in your mind. Kind of what got you going on that trip?
Yeah, it really didn't click for me. So yeah, give people background story. We were informed together in Entrepreneurs Organization, and you picked me up from John Wayne, which was really, really cool. But again, did not spark that, I don't know, that idea, whatever you want to call it, until Catalina. And so give everybody the backstory there. I was divorced at the time, and my girlfriend was headed on a girl trip, and I didn't have my kids. So I called Brandon up and said, hey, I want to go somewhere. I'm thinking of going to Catalina because I've never been. And he nonchalantly, of course, said, oh, I'll come fly and pick you up. I'm like, okay. Sounds great. So we get the house booked. We get and Brandon comes picks me up. So I go at FBO, or fixed base operator for some of those who are listening in, called ACI Jet. And here I am grabbing a drink, just waiting for my plane to arrive, and which is Brandon and Piper Cherokee. And so he comes in, picks me up. And then literally the next thing I know, we're whisked away into the tarmac and getting in the Cherokee. And 10 minutes later, we're off to and land at Catalina. What finally, I think, triggered in my mind was the fact of freedom, right? And so I remember asking even during that flight, I was like, well, Brandon, you didn't have to file a flight plan. You didn't have to do anything. I was confused. And you're like, no, I just showed up. Ask like I was asking a dumb question, because it's funny how I think some of us as pilots now don't just forget about that stuff in the commercial pilot world, which is, yeah, you don't have to have a schedule. You don't have to have instrument. You can just literally leave, whenever you're ready. And that was it. Just opened my eyes to freedom.
Yeah, flying is freedom. And I think that's why AOPA has a slogan or something. It's called Freedom to Fly. I just saw it on a magazine in the airport a little while ago, and it really is. Flying gives you freedom. It's really an amazing thing. And I honestly think two things made Anthony want to learn to fly. One, my expert piloting skills, of course. And then number two, by the way, everybody can't see their faces right now, but it's hilarious. Their faces are like smirking crazy. And I think the number two thing was so Anthony loves coffee and he loves Red Bull. I think it was unlimited free coffee and Red Bull at the FBO. I think that's what sold him. That was probably more than even my expert piloting skills, right?
100%. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I love coffee, Red Bulls, anything that keeps me going.
Exactly. So we want to also have you on here because as all of our listeners know, Stratus has been the ones financing this podcast since we started. So we want to find out what the backstory of Stratus Financial is and tell us about it.
Yeah. So part of that story, of course, we just talked about Catalina, and that really sparked my interest to fly because as we're talking about flying as freedom. And so I remember, because those who know me can laugh, I make very quick decisions sometimes. And when I make decisions, they're generally final, absent some reason to backtrack, if you will, which generally doesn't happen. I was like, I'm going to learn how to fly. So I remember booking October 1st as a student in Next Gen Flight Academy. So I trained out of KRAL, as you guys know. And it was a blast. Learning how to fly, as everybody's gone through that journey, is a fun experience, time consuming sometimes, especially the first 30 or 40 hours, as you're just really trying to get familiar with how do you fly a plane. But within that, there's some interesting stuff that occurs because I don't think I speak for myself, but I think a lot of people, when you start flying, you just tend to hang out by the flight school. And I don't care what flight school you're at. You get to know people and, if you will, the inner workings of a flight school. And so I still remember there was a dispatcher. His name was Michael. And I remember I just got my private pilot and I was working on my instrument rating. And he had been a private pilot for about 3 years. And I remember asking him, I said, I'm doing this for fun. You're doing this for career. And I hope you don't take this question the wrong way, but what is taking you so long? And he said, well, there's financing. And then I was like, what do you mean? Well, there's no financing in this area. I was like, what about federal money? There's got to be some Pell Grants or FAFSA, some money available. He's like, that doesn't exist here. And so I remember talking with you, Brandon, and I was like, hey, tell me more about this. And you're like, well, yeah, it used to be a thing, not a thing anymore. I was like, we could solve this. And that's how Stratus was born.
That's pretty awesome. By the way, that same Michael you're talking about that was a dispatcher for 3 years, he's now a CFII and he's got 1,000 hours. So he's on his way. I bet he'll be at an airline. That's his goal, probably into this year, which is pretty cool. Because, I mean, you've seen his journey. I've seen his journey for a long time. So, which is really neat, kind of seeing everybody come full circle. I think that's what flying's about. And especially student pilots, you get to see people go from absolutely nothing and being a baby pilot to something like extraordinary.
And I think that's really the thing, that we're pilots, because we talk about Stratus being by pilots for pilots. I get just as excited in our journey, for some of our first borrowers in the Stratus platform, seeing them literally no license and now they're double CFIIs and I don't know how many hours they have, but next year they're going to the airlines and seeing that idea come to fruition, not just for them, which is awesome and amazing, but for us too, is we're really helping people change their lives with Stratus.
Yeah, and I know even Stratus even sends automated emails and also mailers out whenever somebody gets their certificate and when it gets updated on the platform. So I think it's really cool that Stratus kind of goes out of their way to make sure that it's personalized, and it can't get personalized just by automation. It has to be done by a human in the background. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. No, it's exciting and I guess gratifying as well as fulfilling, right? Because again, I don't consider us student lenders. I really consider us pilots who have student loans for other pilots and that kind of stuff. These are huge achievements, not mostly for the pilots, but for us as well. As you guys know, going through check rides, they're not the easiest thing to prepare for, and they're not the easiest things to do sometimes. And all necessary, of course, to get that pilot job. It's just this is really exciting.
That's awesome. I know Stratus is definitely a different kind of company. It's in aviation, but it's for aviation. So what really is the goal of Stratus Financial?
Our goal is to fund every pilot's aspiring airline pilot's dream. So it's really exciting to see when people, of course, get their funding and they take the obligation for a loan. But it's really something else to see them achieve their dreams and know that we had a small part to play in them becoming the next, Delta, United, SkyWest pilot.
So I also know that you help students in other ways, and I know that just last week 2 partnerships were formed. One with Gold Seal Ground School, and one with Shepherd Air, which is a test prep software. And I know a lot of the schools are going. We haven't even released it to the schools yet, but I know a lot of the schools are going to be really happy because if they provided that to the students, or if the students had it, they're now going to get it for free. It's going to be paid for by Stratus Financial. So I know that's how we're kind of helping some students at through Stratus. With their ground school, and even supplementing it, because a lot of schools, especially good ones, they have in-person great ground schools. So just getting a supplemental ground school like Gold Seal to kind of really learn all the information, it's going to be fantastic. And then on top of that, the test prep with Shepherd Air, if you haven't used it before, it's fantastic. Also going to be providing that all the way up to CFII for free for all of the borrowers. So that's really, really cool.
Absolutely. And I don't think that we would use anything or we won't recommend anything we don't already use. I've used Gold Seal. For me, when I took Gold Seal, they only had the private pilot. I think they were just working on their instrument program, but I took private pilot with them, and then I've used Shepherd Air for everything else.
Yeah, it's cool just being able to go above and beyond for the students because we are all pilots. Everyone, Stratus is a pilot, and Stratus knows exactly what the students need because everyone there is a pilot. It's awesome. So speaking of being a pilot, Anthony, what are you flying now, and do you get to fly often? I know you're a pretty busy guy.
I don't get to fly often enough, but I give you the journey, and I love it because it's kind of maybe everyone's journey, if you will. I started a course with Cessnas, and then I bought a Piper Cherokee 6, so it was a PA-32-260, and that was actually my primary plane for the first couple hundred hours of my flight time. Then I got my multi-engine rating and my commercial pilot certificate. I was flying a Baron for a while. And then just recently, last year, I transitioned into a Piper Aerostar, which to me is a awesome plane. It's the fastest light twin piston ever made. And I just think there's something cool about going 240 knots on 38 gallons an hour.
It's awesome. I've just been able to see that plane, and somehow we haven't been flying together, as long as I've known you. And aside from that, you and Johnny kind of similar stories going from a flight with Brandon to pretty far in just 4 years. So where do you plan on going after this? Do you have any other aviation goals?
I do, yeah. So my next goal is to get a type rating. And as I learn and grow also in the aviation world, knowing what the next plane is likely going to be a Citation or something along the Cessna brands. Because they're just well supported in the industry. They've got a lot of maintenance areas, and everybody knows how to fix a Citation if it's broken. So likely Citation and Jet, and then a type rating for me.
That's awesome. So it looks like I'm going to be getting that type rating with him because I definitely want to go fly a Citation. Absolutely. For sure.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm going to get my commercial multi so I can go with you guys to get a type rating.
You're in, Carson. If you go get that in time, let's get you type rated. And but kind of moral of the story I heard from between Johnny and Anthony, if you want to really get into aviation, just go flying with Brandon for your first time, and it'll just jumpstart your aviation bug, huh?
Absolutely.
I'm not even kidding. I'm one of those stories too. That's why I'm right here with Brandon.
See, I got that effect. So if anybody wants to come flying with me, I'm still just all you got to do is come out. I'll take you flying. And the last question we got for Anthony for the day, and then we're going to wrap it up. What plans do you have for the future for flying personally? And what do you have for the future of Stratus Financial? Where is that going for you?
Absolutely. For flying, my goal is to maintain currency and proficiency at this point. Just been a lot of work. I'm not flying enough, like I was kind of saying. Other than that, outside of a type rating, I don't have any future aviation goals necessarily, other than I want to fly and do a large cross country. Because as we all know, the FAA's version of a cross country, I can fly to the next state over, and that's a cross country. But I really want to do a cross-country across the United States. And then my next goal after that is I want to go to Cabo. So I want to do an international cross-country, which would be really cool with its unique tricks and whatever that you need to do there. As far as Stratus, our goal is to continue to do what we're doing, continue to add value, not only to our students, right? So the initial value are loans. But as you can see with Shepherd Air as well as Gold Seal, how do we continue to add value to our flight schools and to our students above and beyond just a loan? Because I don't want to be just another lender. I want us to really be a part of and be part of the ecosystem of the flight school network, as well as aviation in general. So that's the next step. And then other than that, keep on working with our partners, our investors, our banking partners, and anybody who comes along the way to help us grow this space and for us to teach them why this is such an amazing space to be part of.
That's awesome. I know the future is really bright in aviation. You see it on the news all the time, shortage of pilots, shortage of maintenance technicians, all sorts of things. So I'm really thankful that you came on today, Anthony, and helped us celebrate our 50th episode. It was a fantastic conversation today. And thank you so much again for being on the podcast with us. It's always fun to chat. And I know we talk every day, but our listeners don't get to hear what goes through our brains when we're talking aviation all the time. And thanks so much for being on with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for letting me be part of this. And, hopefully those future aviators get this and get the bug and find the freedom that we did. So looking forward to seeing you guys in the skies.
Yeah, I'll see you up there, Anthony. Thank you for being on. It's awesome talking about Stratus Financial too. It's cool seeing a company that's by pilots for pilots. And I hope all the students know that when you're with Stratus Financial, it's not just people providing money for you. It's people that are essential to your aviation dreams and being able to make it happen.
Fantastic. And as always, if you'd like to reach out to either one of us, you can reach us at Twitter or Instagram at Mr. Martini Guy for me, or for Carson, it's at Carson_AV17. And as always, you can reach us at our email addresses as well. It's either Brandon at aviationmentors.com or Carson at aviationmentors.com.
And as a wrap up for the day, remember, we're here to guide you in your aviation journey. So fly safe and enjoy the ride.